Now playing on Sirius Joy. Sirius Joy star Kristen Ryder debuts in a new series this week called Moon Wisdom. Learn all about the new moon in Taurus and the full moon in Scorpio and what it means to you. Subscribers can watch the replay and learn about Kristen's guided moon meditations. Plus, astrology Robbie Hunt returns with her popular self-study hall lecture. This month she's getting you ready for Uranus in Taurus and what that means for world communications. Airing live this Wednesday on Sirius Joy.
The Unite the Light Lightworker Summit is reborn in 2025, May 17th to the 19th, reincarnating in Nashville, Tennessee, the capital of country music life. If you live to make the world a better place, we invite you to gather and co-create for 2 days. Day 1, meet curated, heartfelt influencers sharing strategies and innovation. Day 2 calls for conscious conversations. Lightworker power panelists discuss industry urgent topics. And for the first time, you requested, we co-created a third day, a 36-hour, ultra-private, closed-door Whisper Summit. We call it Afterglow, where 2 or more gather, featuring high-wattage leaders of light who share unpublished career advice and trade secrets. It all takes place in the luxurious Gaylord Opryland Hotel, where you may enjoy a full spa, poolside drinks, and tasty dining. And don't miss our Honky Tonk Sumper and Step Networking event happening Saturday night. Wear cowboy attire, feast, and learn astro secrets about you and cosmic allies. Consider this an invitation. Let us celebrate our ascension at the brightest gathering of love in the world. Ticket sales are open now at unitethelight.love. That's unitethelight.love. Your Step Astrology this week. The day has finally arrived. We're talking over 3 years of battling your karmic wounds, your history from the Dark Ages, and all the weaknesses you had during the age of Pisces. What am I talking about? It's the new age, new moon coming this week in Taurus. Hello and greetings to you, my friends and cosmic family. I'm Christopher Witecki, the Sensei to Sirius Joy, and you are live with Namaste Today Live. I am here, my friends, to help you through the crashing changes of our times, to witness you and report on our ascension process, guiding you each week along the way. And if you're streaming on any of our platforms today, we are in a super stream with YouTube, Facebook, X.com, Instagram, and even LinkedIn. Then please, in our chat room, if you happen to be chatting, put your name in there, tell us where you're coming from, and tell us what your sign is. We have a very fascinating week ahead, my friends, a transitional week, and so our top astro headlines are, on Saturday, Mars will oppose Pluto. This is quite often the cause of war, and in ancient tribal times, this was usually an indication that your enemy may attack you. What does it mean for us? Quite the opposite, to be honest. On Sunday, a new moon in Taurus at step 7 will start our enlightened earth and our enlightened path, or is it perhaps ancient lands that are coming back alive? And then on Friday, Venus conjuncts Neptune. And this is our first hardcore rabbit hole since really Alice in Wonderland was written and Abraham Lincoln was in office. But first, let's take a look at the week's moods and your zodiac weather. This week's zodiac weather is sponsored by unitethelight.love. The lights of the earth are gathering, and we're purposely evoking the magic of heartfelt prayer as we come together in a community to make the world a better place. It's a powerful time to be alive and show the world how a union of love can amplify manifest potential for all that are good. Join us, will you, in our calling as lightworkers to raise the Earth's vibration. Learn more at unitethelight.love. That's unitethelight.love. First, looking ahead at your weekend forecast. Over the weekend, you end all opposition with Mars opposing Pluto and start the new story with the new moon on Sunday. Let's drill down. On Saturday, it's sunny and beautiful. Step 6 rules the day, meaning Venus is the one in charge. The mantra is, I manifest deep knowing. And our title is, Allowing Beauty to Outshine the Chaos. The moon begins in Aries, challenging your patience, but then shifts into Taurus, where will begin its climb to the new moon status. Then, at 9:05 p.m. Eastern, Mars opposes Pluto, forcing you to reaffirm that you believe in yourself, and you'll keep it that way. On Sunday, it's sunny and clarifying. Step 7 indicates that Neptune rules the day, opening the channels to your higher self and your intuition. The mantra is, I manifest grounding. The title of the day is, Letting the Universe Show Me Multiple Options. And the new moon will,
It apexes at 3:31 p.m. in the afternoon, opening the way for a new spiritual story. Taking a sneak peek at the week ahead, as we go through the arc of the week, you will commit, act on, and manifest this new story, and by the end of the week, challenge your environment. On Monday, it's sunny and possible. Step 8 indicates that Saturn rules the day, giving you control and authority to make change. The key phrase is I manifest action, and what you're doing is igniting the new story. With the moon moving from Taurus into Gemini, it shifts from creation to tell everyone. On Tuesday, it's sunny and expansive. Step 9 and 10 indicates that Taurus is ruling the day, a Grandmaster day of the Earth. The key phrase is I manifest a way. The title of the day is Accepting Wego Consciousness. Now, the moon in Gemini, you continue to talk about it. On Wednesday, it's sunny and expressive. Steps 10 and 11 rule the day, making a partnership between the Earth and Chiron. The key phrase is I manifest because of love. The title of the day is My Heart Feels Tuned. And Venus ingresses the power of Mars by moving into Aries at 1:15 p.m. Watch out, she means business. On Thursday, it's partly cloudy and nurturing. Steps 11 and 12 indicate that Chiron and Jupiter co-rule the day. The key phrase is I manifest integration. The title of the day is Opening My Life to Cosmic Love. The moon in Cancer makes things a bit saucy and sensitive, but then Uranus sextiles the North Node at 10:59 p.m., ending the day with a commandment. And then on Friday, it's sunny and determined. Steps 12 and 13 co-rule, meaning that Jupiter and Uranus rule the day. The key phrase is I manifest a higher belief. The title of the day is I go directly to my heart. And you will go directly, all right, to the center of Neptune, as Venus conjoins Neptune for the first time since the 1700s in Aries at 1:06 p.m. The moon shifts from Cancer into Leo, and you go into the weekend thinking it's going to be fun with what lies ahead.
Hello, I'm Sanandra, founder of Sichi Organics. For the past 30 years, our goal has been to bring the healing power of plants into your everyday life with simple, clean, organic skin and hair care made with love. From now through May the 4th, we are running a very special promotion for our free 1-hour astrology reading with our beloved Sensei Christopher Witecki. Enter code word IAMAWINNER at checkout and you'll also receive 15% off. May the 4th be with you.
And may the 4th be with you as well, Sanandra. That's actually true. I'm giving away one free reading to people who sign up and make a purchase at Sichi. This is special workings we have with Sanandra. She's someone who took very good care of me when I was down, and this is one of the few things I can do to help her and say thank you. And you can actually say thank you to yourself. Sichi products also, by the way, are awesome. They're all over my bathroom. Just ask my bathroom if you want details. All right, and with that said, if you're watching on YouTube, our Serious Joy Premiere channel, please be kind and do subscribe. Hit the bell button so you're notified. And be sure to like this video if you happen to be watching. And if you're watching on any of the other platforms, it would also help us with the algorithm to please either hit the like button if it's applicable and or leave a comment. That's the best thing you can do for the algorithm to recognize that you're interacting with it. You're not just passing on by. And with that, I think it's time to talk about what's going on this week with our planets and transits. Well, friends, we are in a very interesting time. I have to say, the most interesting times I've been since I've been on the air here, which has been 19 years. I've been reporting on YouTube alone, doing astrology. I'll be 20th year next year. And all these times, I kind of was actually looking forward to this time, right now. Now that I'm here, I'm like, what was the big deal? I don't know, but we'll just try to make the best of it. But no, what we're talking about really is the end of the old times. We are transitioning out of the story we were born to. If you've been watching me for a while, you know that's what I'm saying. Story we were born to, story we were born to live. Story we were born to, story we were born to live. You know, it's just kind of wax on, wax off. It's been the mantra. And we're finally transitioning to the story we were born to live. And this is, I believe, the way to benchmark it. Let me roll back just a minute to give you an example of what I'm talking about. Basically, since COVID, since 2020 actually, Saturn conjoined Pluto in Capricorn. I remember, what did I call that? Can't remember what I called that. I'll think of it here in a minute. Jackhammer. It was a jackhammer day. And boy, was it. That was the beginning of the end of the old power structures here on Earth. And, of course, what you end up seeing is, an overreach for power to some degree in all sorts of facets. And since then, we began to remove a lot of our karmic memories Saturn entering into Pisces for us to face our karmic fears and traumas. And what this was is the closing of several cosmic timelines inside yourself. And we did that for a good straight 3 years from 2023 until now 2025. Now that we're here, Saturn is wrapping up in Pisces and moving into Aries. That is the real benchmark of karmic times changing. Neptune moving into Aries for the first time since the Civil War and Abraham Lincoln being president. And so Uranus going to Gemini this year for the first time since World War II. All of this shifts to the new era. And the new era, of course, is what we've all hoped for. I think a lot of us have always dreamed about a future of a utopia or things being right, or, we've heard about in songs in the 60s about can't we just get along, et cetera, et cetera. And what's ironic and twisted here as we finally reach this benchmark is, as we get here to begin the age of light, we're all recognizing as psychics something we hadn't quite anticipated, which is that the age of light, at least in the first chapter, is the ancient ages. That is, we are returning to our cosmic timelines, excuse me, of Atlantis, Lemuria, and maybe off-planet. And that is what officially is going to happen. We have a new timeline, and it turns out the utopia we were dreaming about was the utopia we once had and want back, not a utopia that was destined to happen again per se. So how does this all begin, Sensei? Well, it begins quite simply from the fact that we have a new moon in Taurus. This new moon in Taurus is at 7 degrees this week. And this 7-degree new moon is the installment of your new soul. Now, what? Your soul? Yes, basically a new energetic expression of who you are. And of course, there are 3 bodies that we look at, Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. This is the reinstallment of a new Holy Ghost. The Holy Ghost being the aftermath or the feelings of your spiritual mission. So you, in fact, are starting a new mission once that mission is installed with the new moon, which is on Sunday. Technically, that's when it has become physicalized. Now, it has also been swimming around us and part of our lives since actually Pisces of this year. And so what we have done since Pisces is we have basically unloaded the old programming officially. Then we have loaded up a new hardware update, which was our new MeGo. So it took new hardware to run this new software. Hardware that can run in quad hardware, which is 2 2s. In other words, instead of a duality, 2 dualities, which is basically your ability to go quantum, 2 dualities. That was Aries. And then now that we're in Taurus, it's actually time to start the film. And so that begins with basically loading the film onto the projector, and that's what this new moon is coming up this weekend. We literally are going to load this new film. That means that after this weekend, I would say that the world is very unpredictable. I also say that a lot of our psychic awareness is going to be off for about 30 days or so because we're not reading into the same spiritual stream. From what I understand, what I've observed in my third eye. In other words, us psychics, well, everyone's a psychic. Those of us who know we are and we use it are going to probably experience a little bit different vibration on the other side than we have in the past because we are now going from one location into a totally different one. It would be the same. It'd be like sort of like, logging onto another map software after using your common software all this time, and suddenly all the streets have changed just slightly because you're in a new map software. So I'm expecting some interesting stuff to go down. For the individual, this has to do with accepting the program. In fact, what Spirit has told me a couple of times is there's some people who really don't often do well in this big of a change. So I know it sounds a little out there, but we will have an unprecedented amount of death, for I'm being told, like in the sense of suicide and people kind of losing it, so to speak. Apparently some souls do sort of lose it and transition this big. Again, I've never experienced one for a long time, probably since Atlantis, so I don't remember. But I would imagine there'll be some times where we're sort of in and out of reality or not sure which reality is real, that sort of thing. So some people don't handle it very well. I would say, drug usage, and since the 60s, has certainly trained human beings to be between these worlds. So that in video games probably has set people up at least to have been recognizing those kind of weird spells and not necessarily freaking out about them, right? But for more practical purposes, it means that it's now time to value yourself. That's what this is about. As we lead into this next chapter, what's most important is the way you value yourself and how you value yourself. And that's what Taurus is about. In fact, for this last week, I don't know what your experiences were, but mine was, I deserve more than this. I deserve better. I shouldn't have to do this. I shouldn't have to be that way. This shouldn't be the way it is. And what that really is in disguise is that you are raising your prices. You are evaluating yourself as different and needing more and requiring more. And that's actually the first spiritual inner thing that has to happen for us to have a better quality experience here on Earth, but also to manifest abundance. A lot of people say, I want to be rich, when they don't value themselves in the first place as worthy of rich. They say they do, but they don't. With the way they talk to themselves on the inside, the way they allow things to happen on the outside, the way they allow things to be taken from them, and don't speak up and say anything about it to themselves or others, that's all devaluing yourself, which leads to a devalued reality. Now, that also means devalued currency in the end, too. So I'd say there's a slight threat that currency could take a dip in the transition. However, I will say what I said last week. Everything in the planets shows abundance beyond measure, and I believe there's incredible wealth out there, and if you're not on that path, you might be meant to take a different path in order to get there. But the planets say humans should be thriving right now, and abundance is the theme, all right? Now, that said, another theme is that beauty is going to outshine chaos this week. What do we mean by that? Well, in essence, choosing the right path for you means choosing what you want to pay attention to in the end. I can tell you this last week has been incredibly chaotic. Just one thing after another, as far as, alarms going off, just as a phone calls, just as this happens, just as this falls apart. Like that's sort of just stuff you can't even write really well into comic television. And that's the chaos. The chaos you are seeing and feeling is in fact the old reality breaking down with the new reality coming in. These are the chaotic fronts that we picked up in our staff. We talked about our staff, picked up and talked about here at Serious Joy. And what you want to do is allow the beauty. So inside of yourself, to allow what's beautiful, to pay attention to what's beautiful. And we say beauty because we're in Taurus, but we also say beauty because beauty is the expression of calm God and calm creation. And although God is both chaos and creation, you can either pay attention to the Big Bang, where things are being born, the chaos, or you can pay attention to once things have slowed down, which is where we are now, which is the beauty. So we're encouraging you here at Serious Joy to pay attention to the beauty. Allow what's beautiful to take your attention. Don't put your attention on the chaos. Hard to do, easier said than done, I know. The subplot of the week is a lighter path is here because of a light path. A lighter path is because of a light path. Now, the light path means several things. One, the path of least resistance, so taking the easy path. Not easy in getting away with stuff easy, but easy as in you don't have to do that much. No one will notice if you go that far. The only one paying attention to those details is you. That is when you're making it harder on yourself than is necessary. But there's also the light path also, which means the light path is just to forgive and move on. That's the easiest path, to love and forgive and move on. The hard path would be to harbor anger, to take action, etc. So as you are switching your timelines, and we are switching our timelines, and basically playing a new film on the soul movie, in essence, this new timeline involves, if you pay attention to the light path and the easy way and the beauty, you're making it very easy to move on to the new story. If you hold on and you hold grudges and you take the path of more resistance, well, then you're actually choosing the wrong path for you most likely, and at the same time making it hard in the transition. So the key question that we have to ask ourselves today and this week is, do I trust myself to keep it together? And that, by the way, should be answered by a feeling. If you feel like things are okay, then they are. It's that simple. I'll move on from there. So taking a look at the week ahead, the planets and planet transits, tripping on my words. The sun in Taurus this week moves from 6 to 12 degrees. That means we're going to open up, accept and receive basically our hearts and our new relationship to ourselves. The new moon is step 7. That's when we'll install the new movie, if you will, which is the new timeline. This timeline, just so you know, is the identification of you as the character. So inside yourself, you identify the new you. The new you, feeling like new you, is the new program has been uploaded. So by Monday, you are deciding or not whether you keep or reject the programming. That's step 8. Step 9, you do something to prove that you believe it. Step 10, you go and manifest it as true. And so basically what we're getting here to is by Thursday, you're now running the new story, or you're in the process of rejecting the story or rejecting reality altogether, in which case you might be sent to a hospital if you're rejecting it. But long story short, we're up and running with the new story by Thursday, and by Friday, the time we're watching this show next week, by Friday, we're living a whole new reality. It'll be step 12 and 13 on May 2nd, and quite an experience. So that is the upgrade to everything. Now remember, the Earth is in Scorpio while the Sun's in Taurus, so we're basically closing one door to open another. And in most cases, every day, some door will close. That door may be kind of a parade of tragedy, depending on the kind of harshness you had in your last story, but you are saying goodbye. And we say goodbye, we mean until we meet in heaven again. Remember that. You're not getting off this planet alive. You will see everyone again in heaven, no matter what. Uranus at step 26 means we're at the same time we're devoting to an abundance that we want in the future, and hold to that devotion, even though the timelines are changing, the goals are not, because from your perspective, it never changed. It was all the same you anyways. Now back in Aries, something pretty profound happens this week. Neptune moves from step 0 to step 1. This is where the timeline starts to get a little dreary. And we have what we said earlier, Venus conjoining Neptune. That is sort of a down the rabbit hole, kind of a trippy experience. I've already had a couple of dreams. It kind of freaked me out. So I'm already starting to see this new cosmic reality coming online. With Neptune at 1 degree, it does mean that we're fully online now with the new story. And again, what's the new story? It's you, who you are in this era, who you are in that moment. From your perspective, that is the story. It's inside of you. That is what's important. Mercury this week goes from 9 to 16 degrees Aries. And so we're going to think through a lot of the logistics of how to get from here to there. And Chiron moves to step 24. Thank goddess. My God, is it 23 forever? 24 does mean that we start to begin to heal relationships. And the healing of relationships does mean that is in preparation for separation. I do believe that by the end of Taurus, there will be a large percentage of the population that's officially separated from someone they've been with, whether it's a person romantically, friendship, or work-wise. And that separation is probably until the end of your life. Given the fact that we're on such major timelines, there's probably not much room for reconciliation if both people have moved on to the new timeline. Unlikely. Then moving in Pisces, things are moving forward there. Saturn at step 27. That means we are accepting, receiving, and committing to the new mission. So the new mission's on. Venus on top of that at 27, accepting that new mission and moving on. Venus moving to 0 degrees Aries, which means that, yeah, I bet I can make that joke, but it just means that things get a little bit more speedy when it comes to love. Venus and Aries is kind of a jump to the conclusion, jump to the end kind of thing. And North Node is a steady step 26 Pisces, which means that we are committed and moving forward 100% to the new era. The South Node in 26 degrees Virgo means that we are at the same time allowing the old things to fall apart. In many cases, people need things to fall apart to let go. So there are major tragic events happening right now, such as the collapse of houses, collapse of stock markets, and collapses of business. That collapse is because otherwise the party would not have moved on voluntarily. Now, moving on to the moon, what will the emotions be? Well, today and tomorrow, the moon is in Aries, so we are a bit, what's the word? We lack patience, that's the way to put it, and a bit hyper. Then the moon will shift into Taurus Saturday afternoon, Saturday night. So I'm experiencing a very excellent, deep feeling and celebration of the old and new. You could say it's a new cosmic, new era, New Year's. And so I would definitely indulge, says this Taurus, and have a good time on Saturday night. Because once you wake up on Sunday, you're not in Wonderland anymore. You're in a whole new timeline, and everything's reset. So, if you've been bad, not in this timeline, you haven't yet. So you're basically in a complete cosmic reset. And so Sunday is literally a whole new era, new timeline. It doesn't matter what happens Saturday night. What happens Saturday night stays in the old timeline. Then comes Sunday night. We're now living the new reality in Taurus. I manifest, and coming to Monday, we continue to feel this new reality. By Tuesday, the moon moves into Gemini. We start to now explore and connect the dots, start to put together what is the list of people who made it with people who didn't, what connections are going to work, what won't work. Wednesday night, continuing that. And then it's until Wednesday night, the moon moves into Cancer. That's when you start to really feel like you're not in Kansas anymore. And this is where we might have a little bit of people shorting out and freaking out, probably Wednesday night, Thursday, as they realize that life is not what they thought it was, that they are now in a new timeline, and why didn't anyone tell them? And it's like, well, we did for 19 years on our channel anyways. So I think things can be really funky Wednesday night. Pay attention to the people that you worry about, because they might be on the edge. And then, if they have accepted the program by Friday, they'll be fine. And by Friday night, the broadcast we have 1 week from now, the moon moves into Leo, and it's time to celebrate Ascension. Truly, time to celebrate Ascension. Our theme, by the way, of this year's Unite the Light. In other stories, Jupiter in Gemini takes an exciting twist. It moves from step 20 to step 21 Gemini. That's really cool. That means that we are now officially running the new ThoughtWare and downloading the new ThoughtWare. That means that you're going to come to open up now to new conclusions about the future. And signs of that would be something to the simple effect of, oh my gosh, I didn't think it was possible, but now I do. Aha, new ThoughtWare is in play. Yay. So you're going to find that you have different conclusions about the ending that's possible. Good old Mars and Leo, thank goddess for that. I think a lot of romantic energy has spiked on the planet. People are wanting to get together again in a biblical way. Mars moves from step 3 to step 6. This means that you are going to really acknowledge your hunger for love and your hunger for need and connection. People are starting to get very lonely. That's because Mars and Leo is making you say it's time to hook up and find some people. And so you're going to find a real push for inner desire of the heart being satisfied as we move through the week. So the longer we go through the week, the more you want to be with someone or experience love. Now that's going to just get more on fire, but it doesn't mean Mars is about out of shadow at the end of this week. So when we come back next week in the new era, boom, we're now into a new Mars-Leo timeline as well. All right, so that is the planets as we know it It's now time to take a little break. We're going to talk about who is sponsoring this show, and we're very grateful for those people, by the way. Thank you. When we come back, we'll have your soul horoscopes and what it means to you.
The world is starting to catch on to human design. But what is it? Through combining astrology, the I Ching, the Vedic chakra system, and the Kabbalah, human design provides you with action-oriented strategies to align with your unique energy.
Are you tired of the same old thing? Register today to get a code for 25% off a human design report or a free report with the purchase of a session.
Welcome to the rest of your life. Welcome to human design.
We were told the world works a certain way. Chase success, play the game, follow the rules. But what if the game is rigged? What if your power was never really lost, just misplaced? Soul Capitalist isn't just a book. It's a wake-up call, a roadmap for reclaiming your power and rewriting your story on your own terms. Because changing the world doesn't start with a movement. It starts with you. It starts with creating a world that reflects your highest self. Soul Capitalist is a guide back to your truth, a call to awaken your inner power and lead from the light within. Soul Capitalist, how to take back your power and change the world. Available now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
Let me ask you something. Do you ever feel that there is something more? You're that friend that everyone goes to whenever they have a problem. You're that person who makes friends with someone at a party, and before you know it, 3 seconds in at the snack table, they're telling you all of their childhood trauma. And the thing is, you love supporting people. However, you have not made a dime doing it. Our 6-month training at the Highest Self Institute shifts you from not even knowing your purpose to diving deep into your dharma, your calling, the big reason why you are here, and then how to create a profitable career helping people remember theirs. Doors are open right now, and they only open 2 times a year. We are so excited to welcome you inside. Can't wait.
Soul Horoscopes, the title I used all the way back when I started on YouTube 19 years ago. And I still think it's damn clever because I thought horoscopes back then, I mean, very much were not about the soul. You didn't talk about soul very much in horoscopes. You talked about getting laid and finding people and jobs and money. And we still talk about that now, but now we blame the soul. We don't blame the physical universe anymore. That's cool. We've come a long way, haven't we? That said, it's time for your soul horoscope. I'll be talking for each 12 signs here over 4 pieces of information of consciousness. And, you know, if you're watching for the first time, hello. Thanks for joining us. Nice to meet you. We are covering your basic soul horoscope, and this will apply for your sun sign and your rising sign both. Some people listen for the moon sign. I'd say go for it. That's a bonus. I would take that's a master path. If you can find the stories in your moon sign, they are there, but they're not as easy to tell because, you know, emotions. It kind of comes and goes like the ocean and the tide. Some people know it, some people don't. Depends on your experience and your EQ. That said, what I want to talk about this week is, first of all, I'll be talking about this opposition on Saturday with Mars opposing Pluto on Saturday. This is hellfire and damnation. This is really your ego, right, you know, drawing a line. Now, this line really is with yourself. So if you find yourself drawing a line with someone else, you're already failing the first grade. It's really about you, and you're projecting onto them. This is a very old story, so don't blame them. They represent the part of you that needs to have a line drawn with yourself. So it's about you with you. Don't be confused. But you will hit a hard line on Saturday. And I'll be talking about for each 12 signs what that hard line means for each of you, each of your 12 signs. Then we'll talk about the new moon in Taurus. This is the new software, or basically new movie you're loading up in your consciousness. This will have to do with you in a spiritual way really, I guess, surrendering, I would say. You're surrendering. That's the best word the Spirit's coming with. Surrendering to who you are in that context, or who you become. From your perception, because it's linear, it'll feel like you have become this person. Truth is, you are always this person. You're just recognizing it now as part of you. That's the metaphysics of it. That said, we'll talk about where you are accepting the new program. It has to do with values and what you intend to manifest. Then we'll talk about a phenomenon happening on Thursday, May 1st, when Uranus will be in conjuncting in Taurus. Uranus and Taurus will sextile the North Node. And what this is a go, go, go moment. Uranus at 26 Taurus, the North Node at 26 Pisces. So what this is all speed ahead. All speed ahead in two directions. One is a spiritual timeline. The other, with Uranus side, is what you are manifesting in physical results. So I'll be talking about where is the hard manifestation and where is the spiritual intention, and how you keep both of them moving forward at the same time. That's the goal there. And then lastly, we'll talk about what's happening next Friday, when Venus conjoins Neptune in Aries for the first time since 1762, I think, basically, when Lincoln was in office. I'm going to say that. So President Lincoln was in office the last time this conjunction happened. Wow. To me, that's just kind of crazy, but you can see maybe why heroin got so popular back at the time, right? All right, that said, let's start with the beginners of the Zodiac, the trailblazers, the Aries. Aries, you have Mars opposing Pluto, and this is a bigger deal for you than others because you are the child of Mars, right? Or the great-grandchild, or the great-great-great-grandchild, however you want to look at that. So for you, this is yourself against yourself in some regards. The opposition is this. Your Mars is saying, hey, man, I need love, I need joy, I need things to happen right now. And so this side of you is wanting things to have fun. You want to have fun, basically. This might be a huge dose of boredom. And you ought to be bored. You come to the end of an era. The other side of that is you must actually believe in your place in the world. So you will not be able to move forward with fun if you don't protect your place in the world and where you believe you belong. So basically, the fun is probably based on where you belong in the world, not where you are. Now, the new moon in Taurus means that your new experience of the new era has to do with a new self-confidence, a new self-worth. So you should see a dramatic shift in self-worth between Saturday and Monday, all right? If you don't feel a new self-worth by Monday, I don't know if you've uploaded the new program. And by self-worth, it's simply the simple fact that you deserve more, and you know it. You can't prove it, but you know it. So if you feel it and you know you deserve more, and I mean more than you've ever have, then I'd say you're onto the new timeline, because the new timeline involves a higher self-worth than the old timeline did. Then, of course, we have that sextile in the North Node. The two parts moving forward with you happen to do with, again, self-worth and abundance. So the story of abundance ought to be moving forward, but you have to know that the story of abundance will only move forward in accordance with the story of faith in God. So if you are not growing a closer connection to God, you will not grow a higher abundance. Just saying. That's not a judgment. That's the way they are aligned. So they have to grow together, or you'll have to leave one or both of them behind. And then lastly, Venus on Aries. So Neptune and Aries. This is going to be quite a trip for you. You might go down a rabbit hole looking in the mirror. Frankly, you're going to realize, with Venus conjuncting Neptune, that you have not loved yourself very much at all this lifetime. That's because the concept of self-love has grown. It's not because you have suddenly realized the truth. It's that the benchmarks have changed now. And so overnight, as Venus conjoins Neptune for you, you will understand that you have never reached your potential because you've never seen what your potential is. So I'm expecting a real holy shift moment for you in the mirror. All right. Taurus, happy birthday. Moo, 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 moo. I'm excited. It's a good birthday year for us. And for you, it means with the Mars opposing Pluto aspect, you're going to want to feel more secure, more cared for, a better foundation, better slept. I know that's the case. But you're only going to reach that, according to your astrology, is if you accept and protect and believe in the new idea of self-discipline. In other words, you are disciplining yourself now on a higher vibration. You are making decisions based on higher vibration. So if you make decisions based on higher vibration, and that means being at higher, not wanting to be at higher, that's very important, that you believe you are higher and you're going to be higher tomorrow, not one day I wish to be higher, all right? Then you'll find a balance between your work and your emotional foundation. If you are not coming from a place of I believe I'm higher and I believe I'm going higher every day, instead you're going I believe I want to be one day, see that's putting you outside of it, then you may feel emotionally run down and have a hard time operating in the new emotional structure. So I say Taurus is to feel very tired and sleepy in this transition of what we're going through right now, Mars in Leo. Now, with the new moon in Taurus, it's going to affect you more than anyone's. I think it's fascinating that it changes in Taurus this millennium. And for you, this new moon of this new expression has to do with a way of treating yourself differently. All right? You're going to treat yourself differently. The way you respond to yourself, the way you treat yourself, what you give to yourself and not give to yourself, how you reward yourself, all these types of things. This is the benchmarker between the old era and the new era. And in essence, you're going to get probably much more incredible treatment for much more spiritual reasons, is my guess. It'll be a spiritual reason that you feel like you deserve better. It will not be a material reason. Therefore, it will not be a feeling of lack that you want to fulfill. It'll be a feeling of abundance that you want to add to, all right? And so this new moon means that it's a new day with you and a new spiritual story with yourself, that you know this is not the same you. Now, that said, we then have the sextile between the North Node and Uranus, and that means that your character and how you're going forward must be completely in alignment with your reputation. So this is a time where Tauruses are going to completely play the part. You are here in that regard to be a role model of everything you're building. So if you're building a new empire, so let's say of real estate, I'd put yourself on the billboard, is what I'm saying. They have to be actually connected. You have to play the role of what you are creating. And that means if you're creating something like a TV network, as I am, you got to be on that TV network as the anchor, right? So you have to play that role that you create. That says the planets. And then the whole down the rabbit hole part for you, with Neptune conjuncting Venus in Aries, have to do with your faith in yourself. That I think you're going to realize that you have incredible faith in yourself that you never officially recognized. And if you're like me, I don't know, I guess it was just being humble and just trying not to think about that much faith thinking it would be taken away or punished if I admitted how much faith I have. But I think what it comes down to is that you have to acknowledge that faith in yourself, because if you don't, you're not acknowledging your connection to God, you're not acknowledging your power. So you have to say you have that much faith to say, turn around and then say, and I want to change the world. Okay, you better have some damn good faith for that. Moving on. Gemini! Geminis, oh my goddess. Well, Mars opposing you and Pluto this week, this opposition that happens tomorrow on Saturday. This is an interesting one because ultimately, for you to be in your right mind, in other words, a mindset that you enjoy, a conversation that you enjoy, thinking about a topic that you enjoy. So you want to enjoy being in your brain again, which I know Geminis have stopped enjoying that for quite some time. Then you have to, in fact, actually believe in yourself 100%. There can be no doubting. And, you know, when you say, how's that possible? Well, you just have no doubt that you will have it right if you don't now. That's the doubt. Believing yourself is knowing, I do believe myself, and if there's a reason I won't, give me a couple of minutes and I will again. So it's a belief that you will believe if nothing else, all right? So if you have a belief that you will believe if nothing else, or if you actually do question, or if you accept the fact that you could be wrong, and maybe you're wrong about that, believing in yourself, then you are not going to allow your new thinking to come into play. So in other words, to put this quite simply, Geminis who are depressed and unhappy in their mind don't believe in themselves. Geminis who are happy and optimistic believe in themselves. So says the planets. Now, the new moon in Taurus means a new God for you. This means that your faith will be built into something else. So the new story for you is that you have faith in yourself for whatever reasons, but you have faith in yourself, period. I think the old Gemini story was you'll have faith in yourself if you can prove it, if you can explain it, if you can put it in simple terms and people understand it. Those were if you have faith. It was conditional faith, if you will. And I'd say now you have unconditional faith. So this new Gemini has unconditional faith and will say things like Patrick Henry said back in the American Revolution of give me liberty or give me death. And he lived to talk about it, so that's a good thing. Now, Uranus in Taurus, sextile in the North Node, says that you have to have a real strong connection to God in order for you to have your career move forward. That's right. So it has to do with career and faith both. It is a spiritual mission of personal that will lead to your actual success in career. And so your career will not grow unless your relationship to God is growing. That's the deal. Now, in the new era, that makes a lot of sense. Why we let people be in charge who's not talking to God. But it does mean that if you are talking to God and connecting on a daily basis, by the way, daily, I think you're going to find career just taking off like wildfire. And then your rabbit hole moment, Venus on top of Neptune, will happen when it comes to where you are in society. I think that Geminis do not realize who they are in the world. They do not realize what they can do in the world. They do not realize the effect they have in the world. And I think up until now, Geminis have thought that they had a bit of a butterfly effect, that they flap their wings and a few interchanges down, perhaps they made a little influence on the fate of something. I think, however, you're going to realize that when you love it, if your heart really loves something and you touch something, it's more than a butterfly effect. It's a bit of a transformation. It's a bit of a tidal wave. So I think Gemini's going to realize that they are incredibly powerful in society. They just never recognized it, and their potential has yet to be tapped. So I think Geminis have a real fascinating moment in their potential. Cancers. Cancers, this opposition is interesting. This has to do with self-worth and money. So you heard that? Money. Let me just tell you. So it has to do with money. Cancers are not going to move down to the new money timeline unless they accept and receive that they believe in their boundaries of themselves and they believe they can trust themselves. So if you believe you can trust yourself, you can have money. If you do not believe you trust yourself, then you will not move forward into the new timeline as far as finances are concerned. That's basically what the line is. And so what you're really asking for is confidence in yourself and self-worth. And so what we're really asking here is, do you have self-worth or not? Which is what leads to money. Just using money as an example to get you to listen. But if you will be able to really have self-worth and confidence based on the fact that you believe in your ability to trust yourself, you believe in your ability to draw boundaries, you believe in your ability to match them and to live up to them. And so that is the line. So believe in your trust in yourself, and you're going to make a whole shift load of money according to your terms. Now, the new moon in Taurus for you has to do with social ambition. In essence, the old Cancer, you could say the old Cancer's place was in the home. That's probably a good way to look at it. Your place is in the home. So when you're out in society, you're getting a break from home. You're getting away from home. You're getting out of the house. These are terms that Cancers have used. I don't think that's the social ambition equivalent of the new era. I think the new era is Earth is my home, and I belong there. And so I think what's going to happen is the expansion of your term of home will go to the entire Earth. You'll look at the entire Earth as your home, which means you'll then look at your entire Earth as your family. And so I think the Cancers see themselves as the mother or father of humanity in the new timeline, whereas in the past you were the mother and father of your nuclear home, which got divorced and had a lot of trauma anyways. So I think the new moon is, if you feel like on Monday after the new moon, if you feel like Earth is your home and they're all your children, then you have uploaded the new program. If you still feel like you need to hide from society and run back to your home, I would say you're operating the old timeline and it has not taken effect. Now, that said, with the going forward and the indicators of going forward, Uranus in Taurus is saying, hey, if you want to find your rightful place and success in society, and we're talking about the new society where it's your home and your family, then you must keep moving forward on your life's purpose. You can no longer have your life's purpose as a hobby or something you're doing in the background. It must be your full-time expression of who you are. And so if you move forward in a full-time expression of who you are, you'll find your rightful place in history and in the world. If you do not, if you put that off to the weekends or when you have time, then you'll find that God, universe does the same with you. Your fate and your forward will go only according to when God has time, so to speak. Now, finally, the rabbit hole for you, with Venus conjuncting Neptune in Aries, this has to do with self-leadership and self-discipline. I believe that you have always thought that you were motivated by helping others. That's what I believe. I believe Cancers really felt like the reason they can get up in the morning so they're making a difference is because they're helping others, because they're making someone else's life change. I think that was a lie, basically. The truth is that you feel good about yourself when you help others. You feel good about yourself with self-worth. You feel good about everything. It's always been for you, selfishly, to help others, always. And I think that's where your power is, that you realize that, oh my gosh, this is totally self-centered and selfish. I want to help the world because it makes me feel good. And see, that puts you in a place of power, and that puts you in a place of non-codependence, independence, because now you're doing it just for you. And the fact that other people get happy from it happens to be a byproduct of what you get off on. So I'm seeing a real differently motivated Cancer, one that's very self-driven to help others. A good model for the new era. Then on to our Leos. Excuse me, let's try that again. That's not worth a roar. Leo! There we go. Leo. Oh, first of all, aren't you happy having Mars back in your sign? I bet you are feeling pretty good. Well, Mars is opposing your house of marriage. And so, in essence, the opposition between Pluto is, do you believe that you can be what it takes to you in order to be successful? Do you believe you have what it takes to make you successful? Notice there's no other people in that equation, just you and you. So if you believe looking in the mirror that you have what it takes for you to be successful, then you'll be successful. If, however, you do not believe that you have what it takes, if you need consultants and wardrobe analysts and all these other people to help you be the best you, I'm having some worries about you being able to make it, because at the end of the day, you have it in you, you're just refusing to accept it, and you're going low vibe about your high vibe. So I think that for those Leos who really believe they have what it takes with themselves to make themselves a better person, you're going to really go forward into your stardom, and I think your stardom will go to a new level. Those who do not have what it takes to bring them the best of themselves will stay where they are or go somewhere else, but it's not going to be higher into a supernova, I'll tell you that. Now, the new moon in Taurus for you has to do with really self-leadership. And that, I think for Leos, I think you thought you were driven by success. In the old era, in the old story timeline, it was like, I will be a success, I'll be a great success, I'll have wealth, I'll have power, I'll have control over others. It was very old school, kind of Leo as the king or queen of the monarchy. And this new drive for Leos is you're here on a mission for God. So now you shift over the kingship or the queenship to God. God is the king and you are working for God. So you're no longer the king in the concept of the universe. You're only the active king on the mountain you happen to stand on. And so I feel like if you wake up on Monday and you go, I need to talk to my boss, God, you're in the new timeline. If you wake up on a Monday and you go, where's my staff? You're in the old timeline, and I don't know if you're going to go as far as you had hoped. And that is ultimately the shift of the power for the Leos and Leo risings. Now, in order for that to proliferate and go forward, Uranus says, hey, you're going to go to the highest heights when it comes to your career if, in fact, you coordinate one thing, the transformation of you. You must continue to change. You cannot be the old you in the new world. It simply will not allow you to happen, be allowed to happen, which means you can express yourself, you can behave the same way, you can do some of the similar activities, that type of thing. But in essence, you should be somewhat unrecognizable to others. That you should be a completely new expression of yourself, your highest and greatest self, and you must continue to be flexible on the change. So there is no stopping this thing until you are completely unrecognizable by some, all right? And so for a career to go forward, transformation of Leo must happen and continue to happen. Now, when it comes to that conjunction of Venus and Neptune, the Leos and Leo risings are realizing that it has to do with your self-mastery and your belief in yourself. In essence, you have always believed in yourself. I think this is a theory because you thought you were special. And special meaning had some sort of special deal with God or born to a special family, something that gave you something that no one else had, all right? And you were kind of right about that, but you're mostly wrong. What it is that Leos are special in the new era because they love themselves more than any other sign loves themselves. That's why you are special, for that self-love. So if you embrace that you are special because of your self-love, you'll be in the new power structure of the new era. If you do not embrace it for that, if you're because of your family or your last name or your money, I'm afraid you're in the old world, Your Majesty, and I hope you enjoy it. There'll be less and less staff year after year. Moving on to the next. Virgos! Virgo, the opposition of Mars for you and Pluto is very interesting. Basically, faith in yourself is in the wings. Will you have faith in yourself or not? And the question is, that depends on what you believe in the moment. Do you believe you're okay? Do you believe you are healthy? Do you believe things are fine? Then you're in the new era. If you believe things are a problem and they're falling apart or getting sick or going south, then you're not in the new era. So the new era mark for Virgos is, I believe I'm fine. End of story. If you believe you're fine, then you will be in a higher faith and be on the spiritual mission. If you don't believe you're fine and the ship is sinking on Monday, then that's an indicator you have not switched to the new timeline and you're playing the old program. Now, the new moon in the new timeline has to do with your life's purpose. And this is interesting. It's similar to actually of the last couple we talked about. Your life purpose, I think, in the past was to know everything. Seriously, to know everything, like everything. Like you want to know everything, you want to absorb everything, and you want to be the master of knowing everything, right? And so in that sense, you are a know-it-all that never knew enough, right? Kind of a crazy paradox there that never gets filled. But now the new life purpose is for God, for soul. You're here for one thing and one thing only, to understand and know your soul. So if you were here to understand and know your soul, you're on the right timeline, you made the transition. If you're here to know everything, well, that's complicated and not impossible. And that will continue on that same hamster wheel you were born to, unfortunately. Now, that said, to go forward in a powerful way, your goal, of course, is to find your purpose and meet it, right? To be an achiever of your life purpose. So to achieve your life purpose means your relationships must continue to move forward. The North Node in Pisces says you must continue growing in relationships. Your relationships must continue to teach you. You must basically accept the fact that you do not know everything in relationships, and you may never know everything in relationships. And if you take that approach, you'll be on the path of your life purpose and your life's truth. If, however, you say, I know what relationships are, they're this, and you define it in a way that is fact and forever, then you'll stay stuck in that fact and forever and that timeline zone for the rest of your life. So that's sort of the decision right there. Keep your relationships growing, and you'll stay on your right path. Relationships growing means sometimes you're wrong and sometimes you're right. It's not always the case, right? Now, the Venus conjunction to Neptune, going down that rabbit hole, has to do with self-trust, all right? In the past, I think you trusted yourself in the old era because of evidence you had. You had evidence and said, I have evidence, I've tried enough things where I didn't go over the ledge or I didn't lose control. And so from that evidence, you trusted yourself, and only from that evidence. This is a new different trust for the new Virgos. The new Virgos will trust themselves because they love themselves. In the story. If you love yourself, you can trust yourself. If you don't love yourself, you shouldn't trust yourself because you're out of the swing. You're out of the vibe. So loving yourself in the new era for Virgos is trusting yourself forever. Moving on. I take a drink here. Sorry, folks. Just too dry. Libras! Libras, your opposition with Mars and Leo is interesting. It has to do with love, basically. Love going forward and also your place in the world. You will not find your proper place in the world, Libra, unless you believe that you are lovable. 100% unconditionally lovable. So if Libras believe they love themselves unconditionally, then you will find your place in society. And you'll find a role you never expected, I have to say, too. Libras are being reassigned to places in the world we've never seen them really operate. This is my guide, so that's interesting. Because in the past, you've been judges and diplomats and public relations people, that type of thing. They say that's not going to be in the future. So that's because the future of Libras has to do with the premise that they love themselves unconditionally. That's the premise. So you'll find your rightful place in society if you love yourself unconditionally and you believe you're unconditionally lovable. All right? So that means no need to ever worry about a relationship. You're unconditionally lovable. Yeah, no need to ever worry about a relationship. Imagine that with Libras. Now that said, the new moon in Taurus means you must trust yourself for new reasons. Very similar to what we were just talking about. The reason why you trust yourself in the new era is because you have faith in yourself and your soul tells you you're trustworthy. In other words, your soul tells you you're trustworthy. Not anything you've measured or weighed in the world. So it has nothing to do with measuring and comparing. You trust because your soul tells you. Period. That's a new era, Libra. Really fascinating. So if you, in fact, wake up on Monday and so say, I trust my soul, I'm sure anything bad will never happen, then you're in the new era. If you say, I trust myself because of this, this, and this, and you point to stuff in the physical world as your means, you're stuck in the old timeline, I'm afraid. Now, to go forward with this and transform your whole life, you have to continue transforming your daily life. So the Uranus in Taurus says you are going to transform your entire life and really be in a whole new life consciousness, which is you won't recognize the second half of your life when you look at the first, all right? The way for that to happen is you must continue to change your daily lifestyle. And that's not just life, that's lifestyle. So if your style was always, I don't even know, peanut butter and jelly for lunch, and that's just what's fine for you, and it's always works for 50 years, that style, and you're not willing to change the style of how you eat lunch, you're not going to really change your life. So you have to change the style of your life and the qualities of that life and the way it expresses itself as a style in order to actually change the rest of your life. In other words, you're holding on too tight to your lifestyles, and you let go. If you're so adaptable, prove it. Go adapt to a new lifestyle. That's what the universe has to say. Now, here's what's really fascinating. The Venus-Neptune conjunction, which happens again on Friday, after we've gone into a new timeline, this is sort of when we swallow the pill, I guess, completely, is with marriage and partnership. Basically, if you love yourself unconditionally in your marriage to yourself, you will be on the new timeline. If you do not love yourself conditionally, if you will love yourself once this gets fixed and that gets fixed, and once you get over this and get over that, then no. I'm afraid you're not in the new timeline and you have not dropped down that Alice in Wonderland rabbit hole. You're still in the plain old boring life that we were in before. So ultimately, the rabbit hole for you comes down to loving yourself unconditionally, and that is a state of being. That's not a goal. You'll be in the state of being of loving yourself unconditionally, and that'll be something you'll reach one day. If it's something you reach one day, you're in the old timeline. Sorry. Scorpio! Scorpios, I've been watching you. I've been very proud of you. Mars in Leo opposing Pluto says to you, you will move forward in your career and where you belong in your legacy and really find some traction with your self-discipline if you believe you are emotionally well. If you believe you are emotionally well, if you believe you're emotionally sound, if you believe you come from a good home, that's another way of putting it, you come from a good home right now, that everything's fine at home and you feel good in your own skin, if you believe you feel good, then you are on the path to career success. If you do not believe you feel good, and you believe you'll one day feel good, you believe if this changes you'll feel good, if you can't feel good in the moment, you don't believe you're feeling good in the moment, then you're on the old path and you'll continue to go on the same career trajectory as you always have. Basically what this is saying is Scorpio's success is based on coming from a different home, a home that they create. Scorpio's failure is coming from the home they were born to. You decide. Now, interestingly enough, you have an interesting place also with the new era. The new era for you is 7 degrees of the new moon in the house of marriage. And so, in essence, this is sort of like basing everything you approach about yourself from a different perspective. In the new era, Scorpios will approach themselves in the mirror from a spiritual self perspective. In other words, what's the best for my soul? So I think in the past you've been, what's the best for my health? What's the best for my marriage? What's the best for my family? What's the best for me, to get rich? I don't think you've always looked at yourself and done right for yourself according to what's the best for your soul. That means you're playing the long game when it comes to every decision you make. That means you're willing to give up a lot now because it's for an eternity of your soul. That means you're moving from a one lifetime perspective to an eternity lifetime perspective. You're saying, every time I look at myself, I'm going to see myself as a soul in eternity. I'm not going to see myself as this person in this life. All right? Quite a quantum leap, I think, for the Scorpios. And I do think many of you are already there, just saying. The ones that are my friends anyways. Now, Uranus saying it's going to go farther comes down to your relationships and who you know will take you to amazing heights, okay? And amazing places. You are always the companion and the person next to someone doing really well because you're always taken with them and you're always given advantages. I mean, all your fortune comes from your relationships. If you haven't noticed, it's always from who you know, Scorpio. It's from who you know. Now, that said, that will only go forward from who you know if you continue to love yourself and pursue your dreams. So the Scorpios are being practical and they're doing the thing that makes sense and they're doing the safe thing and they're not taking risk for their heart. Will stay in the old era. You will not do very well, unfortunately, and you will not succeed the way you want to. Because you're not living for your personal dreams. Why should God? Right? I see it's a fair deal, really. If you are, however, living for your personal dreams, it means you're making choices based on joy and not necessarily on practicality or safety. Making decisions based on experience versus safety or security. That's what the difference is. So if you're really putting all of it on your heart and gambling for your heart, boom, you're going to be taken advantage of and used by the universe as a great example of what you should have done. In other words, you're going to get everything your heart wants. If, however, you're putting anything else before your heart and you're not living for the joy, then I think you'll be passed by and you won't be on that real powerful. You won't meet the right person at the right place at the right time. Put it that way. Now, the rabbit hole for you has to do with, honestly, you're living in the moment. So the spiral is that you are healthy and your life is great because you love yourself. If the first moment of your life when you wake up is, I love me, that's it. If you love yourself, that's the rabbit hole. Your health will be healthy, your health will be fine, and your life will be great. If you don't love yourself, or if you can't call and declare that you love yourself in the moment, if your body doesn't wake up and say, I love me, and it says, ouch, I'm hurting, then if it says, ouch, I'm hurting, I'm sorry you're hurting, but I'm also sorry you're not on the path, you're not in the new timeline, you're not heading for utopia. You're heading for sickness and disease, because that's what you're saying. You're not well. So basically, Scorpio's waking up saying, I love me and I'm fine, I'm well, I'm great, because I love myself. You're on the path to great health, I think a great lifestyle, and I think an easier path than it's ever been in your entire life. So that's the split, I think, for the Scorpios. Interesting. Excuse me. Sagittarius. Sag, your split is between your favorite houses, the 9th and the 3rd. In essence, you will believe in yourself and have no doubts if your mind believes in yourself and has no doubts. I know it's kind of paradoxical because of the way things work, but in essence, if you really believe in every thought to yourself that you believe in yourself, if every thought to yourself is that you believe in yourself and you assume believing in yourself, so if your talk to yourself, your self-talk does not question yourself, then you will grow to amazing heights and experiences, and you'll go on wonderful things and experience incredible journeys that no one can even ever imagine, like crazy fun adventure. If you have any doubt whatsoever in your mind that you can't believe in yourself, you're in fact on the old ride, the old attraction, you have not switched timelines. Now, the new timeline for you has to do with your body and health in some ways, and that ultimately is that your life changes its perspective. In the old life, you are a physical being in experience, and you might be a soul, but it's trapped in a human body. Okay, so Sag is in the old era where soul's trapped in a human body. Trapped is a good word to put there. The new Sagittarius with this new moon says you are a soul experiencing a physical life. So now you are a soul first that happens to be experiencing physical versus a soul trapped in the physical. Can you see the difference? The premise of life is now your faith in God. That you have faith in life because you have faith in God. And so the new Sagittarius feel that God is their home and they're just here a visitor. That is a perspective shift of your power between the new era and the old era. Pretty interesting. I'm looking forward to see what that means because a lot of Sagittarius are already there, but they haven't really been there. So for those who are already very spiritual, Sagittarius are going to get really maybe not fanatical, but just very intense, right? Now, for this to go forward, in other words, for you to have the most amazing life ever that you could ever imagine, okay, then you have got to continue nurturing yourself better and better and better. It's not enough to feel good. You got to feel gooder, and tomorrow feel even more gooder. It means you have to really feel comfortable and safe and connect to your family and connect to your foundation more than you've ever been. So what it's basically saying is you cannot grow your life without growing the standards of what a quality life is. That, what felt good yesterday, 500 count sheets and, people fanning you as you fall asleep, that was enough. Tomorrow has to be more. And what it is a better, higher vibration of self-care and self-nurturing than before. So if you continue to grow in your self-care to higher and higher levels, then you'll find your quality of your life and the riches to come will go to higher and higher levels. So the thing about Sagittarius is they tend to be okay with what they have, and that's the problem. If you're okay with what you have, no need to take it to the new world. You're happy here, right? Now, personal dreams is my most exciting thing for Sagittarius because the rabbit hole for you with Neptune and Venus is that falling in love with yourself. Yeah. The number one person you must love and be in love with is yourself. If you don't love anything, if you don't have any, I'll put it this way. Your love for yourself should be the greatest love you have in the entire world. That you just love who you are. You love being who you are. You want to see who you are tomorrow and next. You can't wait to see who you are tomorrow. That's the adventure. If your new adventure is I can't wait to see myself tomorrow, you're on the right path. Because your path, my friend, is really to express God incarnate. You have Aries in the 5th house. You are the story of God coming to life on earth. That's what you are. And so if you don't feel like you are God coming to life, you're in the wrong timeline. You didn't make it. Okay, you're in 3D and you have to transition. Time to fall in love with being who you are because you are a child of God. So, of course, you're in love with who you are. All right, Capricorns. Capricorns! Cappies, this is a tough private one. And ultimately, the opposition between Mars and Pluto for you says this, that you will trust yourself if you believe you are worth it. So you must fully believe you are worth it and have no doubts that you are worth this experience. You have nothing to prove. You were born worth it. There's no doubts that you belong on that level. You're not faking it till you make it. There's no imposter syndrome. You own it. You believe and own it that you're worth it, period. And if you believe and own you're worth it, then you will change your life to be worth it. If you do not believe that you're worth it right out of the gate when you wake up, then you're not ready, Kimosabi, to move on to the next topic. So those who believe it will live it, period. And you'll find a greater and greater expression of love and enjoyment for who you are every day as Mars climbs up through Leo. Now, the new moon for you has to do with something else that's very interesting, and that has to do with what you feel your soul is destined for. The new moon says in Taurus, the Capricorns are now, this new version of you, is now destined for the soul's greatest joy. The soul's greatest joy. Whoa. Okay? You're about as material as it gets. You're a climber. Not only are you a climber, but you'll climb a corporation and climb a person and climb another corporation. You climb. Kind of spiders you are. And now they're saying, oh no, your new personal dreams ought to be based on your soul's experience, that your soul is here for an experience. So this is taking personal dreams to a whole other level for Capricorns. That your soul has come here to do something that is spiritual. That all of your material intentions are all for a spiritual cause. That you are in fact only here to climb one mountain, and that's a mountain toward God. Now that said, to reach and find God, something else has to move forward, and that is your learning and attitude. Your attitude cannot stop. It must continue to change and evolve. You may not settle on any attitude. You may not settle on any mindset. You must continue to stay fluid in order to go to the fifth dimension with personal dreams and satisfaction. You will not see your personal dreams of being a soul and going to its highest dreams if, in fact, you're thinking like the old version of you. So, in other words, if you think about it the way you thought about it yesterday, you're thinking about it wrong. Every day you should think about it differently, and that should be a progression, but should not be the same. Now, the rabbit hole for you has to do with your emotional security. That, basically you feel emotionally secure for one reason and one reason only, that you love yourself. And so because you love yourself, there's nothing to worry about and there's nothing to fear. And if you have any things of worry and fear or anxiety or any kind of emotional disorders or any kind of anything, it's because you're not loving yourself first and foremost. So Capricorns who love themselves unconditionally will have no fears and no emotional traumas. Capricorns who do not love themselves unconditionally will be still stuck in the old and still having to do the old things. And I don't know how far you'll get on the journey. I just don't know. Moving on. Aquarius! Aquarius, you have an interesting path as well, just like the Leos and Leo risings. For you, you will enjoy yourself more and more and more if, in fact, you believe that's what you deserve. If you believe you deserve to enjoy yourself more and more every day, then you will experience yourself in a light you never imagined. Now, this is bass backwards because this is what a Leo usually does. But now Leos and you have kind of switched topics, so it's kind of weird to see the two of you inside out, but that's what's happening. The inside of Aquarius is becoming the outside of a Leo, and the inside of a Leo is becoming the outside of Aquarius. Very interesting. And what this is that you are now you're here on a mirror trip. You know, the new you of Aquarius. How is Aquarius going to be the leaders of the world? They're going to be in a place where they just can't get enough of themselves. You're in love with yourself, you're in love with yourself some more. You're just like getting crazy, you're just falling in love with yourself. So if you are falling in love with yourself more every day, you're going to be very popular in the world, and whatever you do is going to be really cool. If, however, you don't love yourself every day and this is a growing path, then you don't believe you deserve it, and you're not going to have it. It's that simple. That's the opposition with Mars and Pluto. Now, the new moon for you has to do with emotional security. And basically, your new emotional security, or the new Aquarius, is emotionally secure because of their faith in themselves. Your faith in yourself is why you're calm. Your faith in yourself is why everything is calm. Your faith in yourself is why you don't have a dysfunctional family, because of your faith in yourself. It's all based on your faith in yourself. Notice I didn't say God, it's in yourself. So faith in yourself is the new emotional stabilizer. And if you wake up on Monday and you don't feel faith in yourself, and you feel anxious or worried or nervous, then you're not in the new timeline. You're in the old timeline. And you should retreat and go back and try something new. Now, is that going to go anywhere, this whole faith in yourself? Oh, hell yeah. Your faith in yourself will allow you to build a foundation that is unstoppable, okay? And the foundation I was talking about with Aquarius is the Edgar Cayce Foundation. Do you know the Edgar Cayce Foundation is still around? They have every tape of everything he ever talked about as far as a psychic reading, every resource, everything he wrote, everything he learned and downloaded is still here, Edgar Cayce. So if you want a foundation like that, where your life's work lasts forever, then you have to have faith in yourself as a foundation of your emotional security. And what's going to happen is, by doing that, you'll find that you'll have the ability then to move forward with that faith into a successful career. So your career success, your financial success really, and career, but your financial success is going to happen by having that faith in yourself and by feeling emotionally grounded. So if you're not emotionally grounded, you won't make the money. And you have to continue to make the money, by the way, in order to also feel grounded. The two go together. So money has to stay a high priority for you to do really well. That's the other thing you should need to know. So if you don't keep chasing the money and go after it, go after the money itself, then you're going to find that things fall apart. And people have asked me this, and I can't get into it too deep right now, but don't forget, Earth is about materialization. So these religions that said being wealthy is evil was evil themselves. We came here to be valuable and to see value in play. That's what's different than heaven, all right? If we didn't have to have cash, we'd just stay in heaven. Not cash for cash purposes, but cash is expression of the spirit. So pursue your wealth as much as you pursue your calm, and you'll be fine. Now, the rabbit hole for you, Aquarius, is very interesting. It has to do with the way you think, all right? And this has to do with if you love what you think about yourself, and if you love thinking about yourself, that's another way to put it. If you love thinking about yourself, then you will always have the right attitude in life. If you don't love the way you think about yourself, if you don't love what you think of yourself, then you'll be on the wrong path in life. So basically, the intellectual path and the righteous path for you is you love thinking about you and you love what you have to think. And so because you love thinking, you want to go out in the world and connect to other thinkers because they love what they think too. So it means you are not going to be contrary anymore, is what I'm saying. I think this ends the contrary of Aquarius. I wonder what Robbie is going to do. Robbie, what are you going to do now that the universe is saying not to be contrary? I'm sure she will create a contract with me and talk about it in our next show. She'll say, I disagree. I'm like, oh, you're in the old timeline then. And then the Pisces. Pisces, your opposition, first of all, with Mars and Pluto, has to do with how you live in the moment and whether or not you have faith, okay? So, for you, the faith comes from believing in yourself as your faith. So if your faith comes from believing in yourself, like, it's not because I'm talking to God. It's not because I've done anything good. It's because I believe in myself. I am always there for myself. I always pull it off. I believe in myself. If you believe in yourself and that's your faith, then you'll find that your health and your happiness is underway. That you are in a healthy body, creating a healthy life with nothing but joy coming down the way. If you don't believe in yourself as your cornerstone of faith, or if you don't have faith in yourself, which means you don't believe in yourself, then you could be finding yourself in a diseased body and on the path of decay. So really, for Pisces, it's one or the other. That's the way you live, very black and white. You're either thriving and growing and looking younger every day, or you're decaying faster and faster and feeling like you're dying every day. It all comes from whether or not you believe, if you have faith in yourself, and you believe without question or without argument. Yeah, big one. Now, for the new era for you, that has to do with Taurus, the new moon. The new moon for you has to do with your attitude. And so, in the way you think about yourself. So, if you adopt that your thoughts about yourself come from God, and that you are the extension of God, that you are God's mind playing his hand in the world, and so that the way you think of yourself as a God creature, or a creature based on spiritual premise, then you are in the new timeline. If you think you are a creature of logical premise, and that you are here to prove something logically or scientifically, in other words, not acknowledging the universe and spirit into your mental attitude, then you're in the old timeline. I think things will start to decay. So the new era Pisces makes a lot of sense. Thinks that they're one with God first, that their thoughts are extension of God, and that they're tied to God's thoughts. Okay, so the non-era Pisces is one who does not think their thoughts come from God. They think it comes from stuff they're experiencing here in the human animal body you have. Now, whether or not this is going to go farther is actually based on something interesting. So you will think incredibly like Einstein. Einstein was a Pisces. He downloaded all that incredible all that was downloaded, and he knew it, and he gave God credit. Not to his fellow scientists, of course, but in his books and memoirs later. So he gave God the credit. In essence, you will take that to Einstein proportions, you're thinking, to incredible quantum realizations and stuff, if you continue to be in it for your own character and who you are seen in, and who you're observed as. That's right. You're doing it for a show. If you are unwilling to show off and continue showing off how smart you are, I don't think you'll get as smart as you think you are. Basically, God is saying, you got to show off to be the most brilliant, like Einstein, right? So you're not willing to show off, you're not willing to make it into your character, you're not willing to express in your behavior, then you may not think it grows so much, is what the planets are saying. And the last point here is the rabbit hole. The rabbit hole with the Venus conjuncting Neptune for you is that you are worth it because you love yourself. That's it. You're worth it because you love yourself. And if you don't love yourself, you're not worth it. So worthiness for you, self-worth, is in proportion to your self-love. Self-love equals self-worth for the Pisces. If you don't love yourself, you're not worth anything. You're not worth anything. And you won't be. Because the new economy of scale and economy of abundance for you will come simply from the quantity of self-love. The more you love yourself, the more money you'll make. The more you don't love yourself, the more debt I think you'll acquire. I don't know. I don't write these rules. I just report them. But I think it's fascinating considering you are here to end the age of Pisces as much as you are here to birth with us the age of Aquarius. All right. Fun stuff. Alrighty. I hope that was in time. Let's see. Oh, it was. Perfect. My time clock here. Friends, it's always a pleasure to do horoscopes with you. We've got a lot of changes coming up here in the future with this particular show. I'll just let you know right now, we're going to be renaming it, rebranding it, bringing it up to the new era. So I'm going to enter my 20th year, probably looking a whole bit different, but still providing you the real amazing astrology that I know I've always provided, in the sense of, yes, I'm already living to the new era, that I'm disciplined because I know I'm working with God's Spirit here as a Taurus, and that I'm part of that as well. So you all have a wonderful week. It'll be a great time. We have an Astro Mingle following this, where we have an amazing channel, so be sure to stick around for that. Don't forget that this show ends. You're going to start the next one in our new timeline. And I want to say, please just do me one little favor, if you don't mind. When you're out there this week and people are telling you, how is it you feel so good, or where do you get your positivity from, or where do you learn about yourself, please let us know. Sharing is caring. We'd love if you just let people know that you grew just a little bit by us, because we find that the word of mouth is the most powerful. Otherwise, you can catch us on Facebook group at SeriousJoy.club, or you can find us on our link tree at SeriousJoy.social. And you can now finally, we fixed these, find us again on Spotify. There is no Stitcher, but we're still on Apple Podcasts. All right, friends. Until next week, I love you. Live, love, be.
Coming up next week on Serious Joy TV, Leading Out Loud is now prime time. Join me and my co-host, psychic medium Scott Cruz, Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Then on Friday's Astro Mingle, tune in for a sneak peek interview with one of our stars of Unite the Light on the channel panel, Will the Earth Survive? Our own beloved Kristen Marie Miller. She's a channeler of Mary Magdalene, and she joins me for a special look into the power of her gifts. As an eyewitness, I personally can tell you, it's mesmerizing. Light casting this week on the Serious Joy TV Podcast Network.
Unite the Light is coming to Nashville, and we're honored to support these local conscious businesses. Join our growing list of high-vibing Nashville sponsors and receive special discounts, incentives, and advertising extras while promoting your light to our attendees. Contact Jenny at adintuitive.com to get started. We'll see you in Nashville.